Hello there everyone and welcome to Rhen. This is the finale for the mock series. Hopefully you guys enjoyed all the episodes leading up to this. This was filmed at Brickworld Chicago, so here's the mock. All of the minifigures and everything set up here. A bunch of stuff was very last minute, as is every Brickworld mock essentially. If you guys saw my last video, I had a lot of stuff still to work on, but I was able to finish most of it at the convention, and overall, very happy with the way it turned out, but a few things I wasn't able to include unfortunately. But again, for the most part, very happy with the way it came out, and I actually had a ton of fun getting back into Phase 1, Clone Troopers, setting those up kind of classic style against battle droids, which was really fun. So let's go ahead and get started, and I'll kind of be walking through every part of the mock. First off, we got the ice caves back here. This was probably the part that got the most attention at the convention. The translucent blue is such a fun color, and this was a real grind to get finished. I had like a week left and I barely had any of this done at all, so you'll notice a couple shortcuts had to be made with the colors of pieces. I ran out of some of the different shades of blue, so it's kind of unfortunate that I wasn't able to get everything done, but for the most part, I'm happy with the way it turned out. For the minifigure setups back over here, I did want to include Kit Fisto as kind of an Easter egg back there as well from the old Battlefront 2 kind of DLC from Xbox, I believe. I was always a PlayStation user, so I never got to play it until the Classic Collection came out like a year or two ago, or whenever that came out. Up front here, we have Count Dooku, who's slicing up a clone trooper and shocking another one, and kind of these clones are trying to surround him. I really wanted to include this because in the game, once Count Dooku gets into the ice caves, it's pretty much game over if you're the clone troopers. Since they're pretty much invincible in Battlefront 1, they're very hard to take down, and you kind of just have to delay them and hope they don't take out too many of your reinforcements. But so I definitely wanted to include that in here. That Count Dooku figure is from Brick Tactical, definitely a very nice figure, and this was kind of the main view I wanted to show off on the ice caves, where you kind of can look down here and it's almost like a hallway or a corridor or something, where you can kind of look down all the way to the end and see all the other minifigures down there as well. When we get to this middle part, this is a little more chaotic. Again, we've got Kit Fisto down here and a couple of different fronts going on where clone troopers are charging from one end, trying to relieve the clones who are pinned down by these droids and who are kind of stuck with Count Dooku down there. Kit Fisto is trying to rescue those clone troopers. So you can see they're kind of pushing to the side here. Some are taking cover behind those ice crystals right there. And this is one of my favorite, I think it is my favorite part of the map in the actual game itself. I usually tend to spend a lot of my time in the ice caves when I play that map. Visually, it's so nice, and I just think the way it's designed with all the corners and a lot of tight corners and kind of things to take cover behind, and the close quarters combat is always fun, especially at Battlefront 1 with all the different grenade spams you can do in the game. So Kit Fisto slicing up some droids, and then this is also one of the cool views right here when you look through and you can kind of see the whole mock from this angle right here. This is one of the main angles I was kind of focused on for the last few weeks of building, really making sure this was going to turn out well, and so far I think I'm happy with the way it came out for the most part. But here's the ice caves. Hopefully you guys did enjoy it. Next, we'll move on to the battlefield area. Here we have another close quarters kind of area with the mountain and the first structure. Some hand-to-hand combat for the clone trooper right there, and then these clones are kind of pinned down right here trying to push out. But of course, as you can see, this is not going to be an easy charge, as there are droids all over the place and they have quite a lot of kind of open terrain to get through before they find more cover. Up here, we've got a clone commander with some of his boys kind of on this first structure right here. And this was just one of the mini structures in this build, and they all kind of have a similar design. If you follow the build series, I kind of tried to make sure that it was the same color palette and kind of a similar design for each of the buildings. And that just helped with the pieces I had available, and I thought it fit with the game, where a lot of the buildings are kind of that monastery temple type look. Over here is the mountain right here. This was also something I did last minute. I had to order a lot of white slopes because I didn't have a ton. I'm used to working in dark gray and light gray for my slope pieces, but this was kind of a white slope, which I thought was interesting. And I wanted to sprinkle in a couple of the crystal parts here and there, so it wasn't just all white all the way across. Up here we have the sharpshooter class, who's trying to find a spot to cover his brothers down there, and he's currently taking the head off the droid right there. Here is probably one of my also favorite structures in the build. This one was pretty fun to do because I have the angled section there on the left and these stairs leading up to the middle. And I have one of my favorite minifigure setups, and the hardest one probably to do in the mock, and I'll get to that in a second when I get a closer look at it. But for now, we have Mace Windu slicing up a couple battle droids there using a light up lightsaber, and we also have the heavy class right there and a few other clones. One's being dragged by his buddy right there, and they're helping out Mace Windu, and he's trying to push forward right here. This poor clone trooper is being picked up and grabbed by the super battle droid and being choked by the super battle droid. This was probably the most difficult minifigure to set up, and unfortunately every time I bumped the table or somebody else bumped the table, he would come tumbling down, but I had to reset him a couple times. But this was probably one of my favorite minifigure poses in the whole build. Next, we're going to move on to the battlefield and the trench right here. I've got some close quarters combat again. You notice that theme throughout the mock. I love setting up clone troopers, punching battle droids with their weapons and hands, you know, kind of a Easter egg to episode 3, the Battle of Utapau, if you look in the background and see some of the cool background stuff going on during that. But right here, here's a clone smashing a droid's head off with his rifle, and then here is another battle droid using Clone Army Customs droid hands. I actually reverse them, and you actually can get a droid to aim down sight, which is kind of cool. And then here the clones are trying to push into the trench because there's not a lot of cover in the middle of the mock, so you notice I tried to make all the clones kind of stuck to one edge because a lot of them were having a hard time trying to push forward. No one wants to go into the middle of the battlefield, obviously, so they're all kind of pinned down. These guys right here are trying to push up into the trench to get into cover, really the only cover in the battlefield area. We have a couple other clone troopers here pushing from this side of the stairs, one with a rocket launcher right there, another one taking cover behind those steps right there, trying to provide cover for their boys, trying to find a breakthrough so that their guys can find some cover and push up into the rest of the mock. Next, we're going to move on to some of the larger scale buildings. Over here, we have some droids kind of shooting over the edge right there, and have some lights right there that are kind of making it look like the droids are blasting. And this poor clone trooper right there getting blasted by that super battle droid. Another clone right there trying to climb up to help his buddy, but it might be a little too late right there. And then we push forward over here. We have a droid sharpshooter this time, another Easter egg for the class system from Battlefront 1. A couple of jet troopers from Battlefront 1 jumping up here, trying to get the upper hand, trying to get the high ground on the droids as well. But as you can see, the droids have quite a lot of reinforcements on top right here. We also have a little Easter egg in the corner there, if you can spot that. One of my favorite things to do on every single build that started a long time ago was include Admiral Raddus somewhere in the mock. So Admiral Raddus is in that hallway. Here's just one more look there at the outside of that building. And we're back on the battlefield, and we have a bunch of blasted battle droids there, and a few fallen clone troopers, unfortunately, but they are also, again, trying to push forward and get into these buildings here and try to rout the remaining separatist forces. So kind of just chaos everywhere here. And we push forward here. We have one clone who's trying to climb over the top but got blasted, and a couple other clones trying to take cover right there as well. Back here we have Dwarf Spider Droid and some more droids, a Battle Droid Commander right there who's kind of in charge of the separatist forces, and some more droids taking cover here and there throughout different pieces of the stone right there to try to blast some clone troopers. And over here, this area was kind of one of the first areas I built. Here's one of the buildings with another heavy class up there for the droids this time, and some snipers on top of the building. A couple snow mounds sprinkled throughout. You'll notice I've got those kind of sprinkled all over the place. We have a brick tactical turret right there from the Clone Wars from Ryloth, I think is the first time we saw that turret. It's got a great position there to blast all the clones who are trying to charge out into the open. And the droids here have a pretty good defensible position. And another heavy droid right there as an Easter egg to the game. We have a droideka hiding back there in the interior of the building. One clone trooper as well back there who's trying to sneak his way around. And then a clone trooper right here throwing a thermal detonator onto a droid. And there's Jedi Bob. He's the newer version, of course. I don't have the older one. He's slicing up a droid right there. He's trying to help these clone troopers. Down here is the tomb. This is kind of a Easter egg to the other Renvar map, Renvar Citadel, where you can go into kind of this tomb area. So I have the tomb over there with a skeleton crawling out, and then some lights back there as well. And this was a fun area to design, also one of the first things I designed in the earlier episodes. And up front here is just a clone trooper who's dragged a battle droid out and is getting ready to toss him over the side. And that's going to do it for Renvar here. Hopefully you guys did enjoy. Definitely let me know your feedback in the comment section below. Which part of the mock was your favorite? Which minifigure setups were your favorite? What do you think I could improve upon for future mocks? Anything you want to say, go ahead and put that in the comment section below. It was a dream come true to build this mock. The map that I based this off of, Renvar Harbor, is one of my favorite maps in any video game ever. So it was a ton of fun to build it. So that's about it, guys. Stay tuned for the next large-scale mock update series, which hopefully won't be too far away. I've also got a ton of smaller scale videos that I'm working on and a new style of video, so I'm very excited to show you guys those. And as always, leave your feedback in the comment section below. Hope you guys have a great day, and may the Force be with you always.